Thanks for joining us for another episode of Melissa's Menu. I'm your host, Melissa Green. Tonight we're going to be making chicken marsala with mustard mascarpone sauce and two sides, oven roasted green beans and wild mushroom couscous. I made this recipe recently for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. It was a huge hit. It's very easy to make. It's very elegant, nice presentation. So let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to first start with the green beans. You're going to need about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds fresh green beans. You can get these right at the grocery store, either already in the package or the fresh green beans, and you can just snip the ends off. So we're going to add about 2 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil. I've already washed the green beans, so they're all ready to go. I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh ground pepper and a little bit of sea salt. So we're just going to mix this together. And I'm just going to transfer this right onto a baking sheet. You can either just use a regular baking sheet, or I like to use parchment paper just because it's a lot easier to clean. So put these right on. Just kind of shake it so they're all even. And I'm going to put these right in the oven. I've got my oven on 425. And those will take about 20 to 25 minutes. So we're going to begin with the chicken now. 1 pound to 1.5 pounds boneless chicken breasts. I've already cut it into about, you can cut each piece into about thirds. If you want larger pieces, cut them in half. If you want smaller, cut those in half as well. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to season the chicken breasts with the, again, salt and pepper. I like to use the sea salt, gives it a little bit more flavor. And then a little bit of pepper. And this is going to go on high heat. I've already got a couple tablespoons of the EVOO in the pan. So we want it to make a nice sizzling noise when we put it in. EVOO is the abbreviation for extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to transfer this right over to the pan. So we have the chicken in the pan, and now we're going to let that cook for about 4 to 5 minutes per side. We just want to have the chicken browned a little bit. We're not going to cook it completely through because we're going to toss everything back in the pan at the very end. So let's move over here. We're going to chop 1 onion. Now we're going to start to make the sauce for the chicken marsala. You can really use any kind of onion. I like to use just a basic yellow onion. You can use Vidalia if you want. Red onion, I guess you could use that as well. Just going to check on my chicken real quick. Yep, they're ready to turn. Again, we don't want to cook them all the way through. They have a nice light brown color. Okay, so I'll chop the onion. put those in a bowl if you want. Okay, onion is ready to go. I'm going to turn off the chicken, and what we're going to do with the chicken is just let it rest for a few minutes while we work on the rest of the sauce. And the reason that we're not cooking it all the way through is because we don't want it to be too tough. We're going to mix it in with the sauce at the very end, and that will give it a chance to finish cooking. Okay, so this is all set. I'm just going to put some tin foil on that, just to keep the moisture in. Okay, chicken is all set for right now. Now, we're going to add 2 tablespoons butter into the pan that we already had the chicken. You can just eyeball it. Turn the pan back on to about medium-high now. And we're going to try to get all the brown bits that were left over from the chicken. We want to keep all the flavor in. We're going to go ahead and add the onions now. Now, we don't want the onions to be caramelized, we just want them to be soft. We're just going to saute them for about 2 minutes. And this is going to give the dish a really nice flavor. So just let that go for a couple minutes here. These are cremini mushrooms. Another word for them are baby bellas. They're very earthy. They give the dish a lot of flavor. It's a mix between a white mushroom and a portobello mushroom. Used a lot in cooking. So we're going to add 1 pound of these sliced mushrooms to the sauce, to the onions. And the mushrooms are going to take just about 12 minutes to cook. We want the juices to evaporate, so they're going to take a little while to cook. And I've got the mushrooms, then I'm also going to add the garlic at the same time. I've got 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Garlic makes everything taste better, in my opinion. So we're going to let that cook. The mushrooms are definitely going to shrink down in size as they continue to cook. The mushrooms take about 12 minutes. They're going to reduce and evaporate, so that's why they take so long. Okay, this is my helper Allison. She's going to help me make the rest of my dish. In just a few minutes, I'm going to have you add the wine for me. So why don't you pour 1 cup of Marsala wine for me, and I'll tell you when to stop. So take this. This is Marsala wine, you got it? And just pour a little bit in there, and I'll tell you when to stop. I'm going to put quite a bit in. Yep, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. Very good, thank you. Now the Marsala wine comes in 3 different types. Dry Marsala, semi-sweet, and sweet. I like to use a dry Marsala for cooking. It gives it a little bit of sweetness, but not too much. I'm going to go ahead and check on the green beans. along nicely. They're going to be a nice light brown color when they're done. And they're going to be a little crispy. So they're not quite done yet. I'm just going to stir the mushrooms. Oh, it smells so good in here with the mushrooms and the onion and garlic mixed together. This is one of my very favorite recipes. And you can actually make this during the week. From start to finish, it takes about, I'd say, 30 to 40 minutes. It's really nice if you're having a date night you can make for your date, anniversary parties, dinner parties, anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the sauce. The mushrooms are now done. We're going to add the wine first. And Allison, I'm going to have you add this for me. So you got that? Pour that right into the pan here. Right over here. Can you reach it? Yep. Great. Put that right in the sink. Thank you. Oops. Now we want the wine to reduce in half. So we're going to let it simmer. We want the sauce to thicken up a little bit. So let's turn up the heat just a little bit to about medium-high. We don't want it overly hot.
Go ahead.
You definitely want to make sure the Marsala wine is fully evaporated, only because you don't want to taste it has a little bit of alcohol in it, and it could be very strong tasting, so we just want to make sure it's completely reduced by half. Which it looks like it is. So we're going to go ahead and add the last couple ingredients. These are the two ingredients that really give the dish a kick. One of them is Dijon mustard, and the other is an 8-ounce container of mascarpone cheese. The Dijon mustard gives it a nice, clean, sharp flavor to the dish. So we're going to take 2 tablespoons of the Dijon and add that into the sauce. We're going to add the 8-ounce container of the mascarpone cheese. And we just want both of these to melt. We don't want this to boil. Now the mascarpone cheese, a lot of people say, why are you using mascarpone for a cooking dish? Mascarpone cheese is actually an Italian cheese. And usually when people think of mascarpone, the people that know of it, think of tiramisu. It's used a lot for tiramisu and for baking, but we're going to use it for this dish, and this gives it a nice creamy texture. So the mascarpone, you can buy this right in the cheese section of your local grocery store, and it's always in a tub like this, and it usually just comes in the one size, which is the 8-ounce tub. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to mix this together just until it's melted. It smells so good. So all together we have the mushrooms, we have the garlic, the onions, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, the mascarpone cheese, and the Dijon mustard so far. We have one last ingredient to add. Turn this up just a little bit so it will melt a little bit faster here. I made this dish, like I said, a few weeks ago for my parents' anniversary, and they all thought it took hours for me to make. It's such a nice presentation. And it's very easy, but it's very elegant, so it's a nice dish. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of the Italian parsley, and this is the last ingredient. You can just eyeball it. And we're going to save the rest of it for the garnish. So we'll just put that aside. Now the last part of this dish is adding the chicken back in. And remember in the beginning when I said we're not going to cook the chicken completely, we're going to add it back in at the end, just so it can soak up all the juices. So it's been resting over here. I'm going to just add this back in with all the juices. There's a little bit of juice in here to give it flavor. And that's going to take just a few minutes because it's not fully cooked yet. And while that's finishing cooking, we'll go ahead and start the couscous. Now the couscous is actually a form of pasta. A lot of people think it's a rice, but it's actually a very small pasta. I absolutely love cooking with couscous. It's very easy to make. It makes a lot. It's pretty healthy. It comes in different flavors. Today I'm going to make the wild mushroom couscous. Comes in pine nut. You can make plain. You can kind of make your own flavor in if you want. Just turn that down a little bit. So let's begin with the couscous. This literally takes 5 minutes to make, and that's another reason I like making it, is because it's so fast. We're going to add 1 1/4 cup water. The seasonings that go with the wild mushroom. And we're just going to let that boil. And once it starts boiling, then we'll go ahead and add the couscous. I'm just going to check on the green beans. They should just about be finished by now. Yep, they're all set. So I'm going to take these out and just put them aside. Chicken is just about done. It smells so good in here. What I'm going to do is just check to see if the chicken is done, but before I do that, I've got the water over here boiling, so the couscous is ready. We're going to go ahead and shut off the burner. Add the couscous. Stir it just a little bit. And put the cover on and put it aside. I'm going to take it off the burner so it can absorb all the water and stop cooking. So that takes just about 5 minutes to finish the couscous. I'm just going to make sure the chicken is completely cooked all the way through. So I'll just check here. Almost. It's almost done. I was saying earlier you can cut the chicken into smaller pieces if you want, and that way it will cook faster. Obviously, the larger the piece of chicken, the longer it's going to take to cook. Okay. A few of these are done, but the larger pieces aren't completely done. There's still a little bit of pink in there. So just let that sit for a few minutes. very important that any chicken is completely cooked all the way through, unlike beef. It doesn't, beef can be rare if you want, so, but chicken you don't want to get sick. So make sure the chicken is completely cooked all the way through. This dish actually makes about 4 to 5 plates, 4 to 5 portions I should say. So in just a few minutes I'll start to put together one of the plates so you can see what it looks like. Sure. I've got a couple ideas for next week. I was thinking of possibly chicken fettuccine alfredo, which is one of my favorite Italian dishes, with maybe a homemade Caesar salad with a homemade dressing. I was thinking of possibly a lasagna, possibly spaghetti and meatballs. I have a good recipe for that. So I have a couple ideas, so make sure you tune in next week for my dish. You can see how the mushrooms have reduced in size. It may sound like a lot of mushrooms. For this dish it calls for a pound, which is 2 large packages. But once they reduce in size, it's really not a lot. And they give the dish so much flavor, especially with the cremini mushrooms, which have the nice earthy texture to them. I'm going to go ahead and plate up one of the dishes here. As you can see, the couscous is completely cooked. You'll see there's no liquid inside, which is exactly what you want to look for. Came out nice. So what I'm just going to do is take a fork and just fluff it up a little bit. I thought the mushroom couscous would be nice with this dish since we're doing the chicken marsala with the mushrooms in it. So we're just going to add a little bit here in the plate, right in the middle. I'm all about presentation. I love presentation. I'm going to next add the green beans, which I'll put on top. Those on top. And again, you don't want them too brown, but they're just brown enough. They've got a nice flavor with the salt and the pepper mixed in with them. You can actually do this with any sort of vegetable. I do this a lot with broccoli. You can do it with cauliflower, carrots.
I was thinking of asparagus.
Asparagus, yep. That's my favorite way to eat vegetables, is roasting them in the oven. It just gives them so much flavor. It's very easy. It literally took 5 minutes for me to put together this dish and then just to cook it in the oven. So you really can't go wrong with that. Turn off my oven here and turn off my burner. So we're ready to plate up the main dish, which is the chicken marsala with the mustard mascarpone sauce.
Did you get it?
Make sure there's plenty of mushrooms in here. And the sauce is to die for. The sauce is absolutely incredible. Wait till you try it. I'm just going to pour some sauce right over the top here. And of course, the very last part is to add the parsley as the garnish.
And put that on.
There you have it, folks. Chicken marsala with mustard mascarpone sauce, oven roasted green beans, and wild mushroom couscous. Enjoy! All right.